All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Amit Jotwani, and I am an Alexa evangelist. I'm based out of New York. I'm really excited to be here today. I have the opportunity to present some really cool things that the Alexa team has been working on. I have the opportunity, the pleasure, and the privilege to do that with you today. So before we get any further, if you could give me a shout out uh, as to how the sound and the video quality is. This is a brand new setup that I have had. Thanks to Jeff Blankenberg for giving me a hand this morning. I was trying to get this setup going and I was struggling, and we'll talk more about that if you have a chance. But if you can give me a shout out as to how the sound is, can you hear me okay? All right. While we wait, excellent. Thank you very much for that shout out. All right. So, like I said, my name is Amit, and we are here today to talk about all things new that we have announced in the month of May. That ranges from things on the Alexa skills side, but also there's some new things that we've actually launched on the smart home side. So, you may be able to see it. Let me share my screen now. So we've launched a few new things and we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that you all are aware of this new exciting conference that we have coming up. It's called Alexa Live 2020. And for those of you who may have attended last year, we did Alexa Live last year, and this is an expanded version of that. We have new speakers, and this is going to be a virtual event. It's going to be on the July 22nd from 9 to 1 p.m. Pacific. The registration is open now as of today. So if you are looking to learn more about all things Alexa, and that ranges from building new skills, learning more about how you can actually improve your skills. And also, if you're a device maker, if you are a smart home builder, we have a lot of really good content for you. So I would encourage you to head on to this website. If I can grab this and copy this into the chat window here. Well, good morning, Justin. We were just talking about Alexa Live. We're really excited. I am speaking along with most of the Alexa evangelism team. As you can see, the beautiful face of Jeff Blankenberg, our senior Alexa evangelist, is also going to be speaking. So there's going to be really good content. It's free and it's open for registration now. So head on over to that link and register yourself. It's going to be a virtual developer community event coming up on July 22nd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's launch right into what new things we have launched in the month of May. So the first one I have for you is what we call the ASR Evaluation Tool. Let that load up. Okay, so if you're a skill developer and you've built a good number of skills, you probably have run into this problem where you are trying to figure out what are the customers saying and is that matching up to the speech recognition or the language model that I have built. So we now have this tool called the ASR Evaluation Tool, and I'll give you a demo of that in just a moment. But what it does is it lets you batch test your sample audio utterances. So say, for example, you have a bunch of utterances that you've captured from your customers during your testing. You can actually grab that, dump all of those audio files in a zip file, upload that into the evaluation tool, and you can, sorry, I got distracted by what Justin was saying. You can upload that zip file into the evaluation tool. And what it's going to do is it is going to run basically a unit test of sorts. So you can build your annotation sets as to what you are expecting Alexa should actually translate that or transcribe that using speech recognition and what is actually happening. So you can look at that and then whatever is missing or whatever misrecognized words are, you can actually add utterances and add your slots and utterances to make that better. Okay, so with that, let me give you a quick demo of what that looks like. So I'm going to go into this. This is a sample skill I have. And you can see here's the invocation name for it, which I should probably change it to my cafe. And we're going to save this model. Hopefully you can see this okay. All right. Good morning, Jeff Nunn. It's good to see you, or good to have you. Okay, so I have a very simple skill here. What it does is it's got this like simple intent called the order intent. And it's got a bunch of utterances here, which is ranging from I will have a cup of coffee, I want to order, and then I have a slot name called food name. And then I have another utterance with just the food name here. And then finally, I have order food name. So as you can see, it's got only one intent because that's the one we want to focus on right now anyway. And I have a slot here with some slot names. So I have mocha, latte, cappuccino, and coffee. I'm actually going to delete mocha just so I can show you the demo. And I'm also going to delete latte. So imagine we only have coffee and cappuccino as the slot names. I'm going to save the model and let's build the model. And while it does that, let's go into evaluate model. And as you can see, if you're trying to evaluate your model, you essentially have three ways or three choices that you have. The first one is the Utterance Profiler. We've had this for a while, and this means if you just quickly want to check whatever utterances I have, is it actually mapping up to the intent? Is it actually mapping up to the slots that you expect it to? So for example, if I said something like, I would like, if I can type, I would like a coffee, and I'm going to submit that. Now, what it did is, since I had an utterance named that, or which was mapped up to order intent, it knew that this is the intent I was looking for. So this is a great way if you just want to check if your utterances are actually getting mapped up to the intent that you expect it to. Oh, I'm blocking the screen. Okay, so what we're going to do is we will create a new annotation set, and this is going to be for, say, order intent test number 2, and I am going to record one. So let's just say I want to order a coffee, and I'm going to add what I expect this to be. Order a coffee. And what I can also do is that I can actually upload a bunch of audio files that I may have. And again, it says that it needs to be in certain format. I happen to have a file called cafe.zip. It has a bunch of MP3 files. I'm going to open that. And what that's going to do is it's going to upload all of those MP3 files. And then I'm not going to do it for all of those, but then like I did for this one, you will actually specify what that transcription should actually be. So for example, let's hear this one out. So you can probably not hear that, but it said, I want to have, let me say this again. I will have a cup of tea is what the person said. And I apologize, I have my headphones on so you cannot hear that, but that's what it said. I'm going to do a couple more. This one said cappuccino. And let's do one more. I will have a cup of coffee. And I want to do one for mocha, right here. Get me a cup of mocha. I feel like I'm taking orders right now. Okay, so we got a few. Let's do one more for latte. Get me a cup of latte. Sorry, I was just looking at the comments. Okay, I'm going to delete the others. Yeah, that's fine. And let's delete this one too. And just so we are left with a few. Okay, all right. So now I am going to save this annotation set. And while it does that, what we'll do next is that we will evaluate this model. So let's see how that happens. So as you can see, the first one is the one I actually recorded, and the other 5 are the ones we actually got from that zip file. So you have 2 ways that you can actually do this, through the laptop recording, the computer recording, or you can just upload the MP3 files. So I'm going to click on Evaluate Model, go into the ASR evaluation, and as you can see, I have 2 of these annotation sources. I'm going to choose the one that we just created, which was order intent test number 2, and let's run an evaluation. Okay, so the test is complete, and as you can see, the results actually failed. So let's click on the evaluation ID to see why it failed. So here are the 6 utterances that we actually used, and it passed on 3 of them. The other 3 actually failed. One thing I should mention is that you can also specify the weight, the number of points you want to assign as weight for each of these. So for example, if it is really important for you, for your skill to make sure that you're getting this utterance absolutely right. For example, get me a cup of mocha is super important, and this test should never fail. You may want to assign like a value of say a 5 or a 6 compared to the others. So in relation to the others, you know what percentage it is actually failing or passing. So in this case, for example, it's assigning the equal weight to all of them, and that's why it's saying that 50% actually failed. So if the cup of mocha was really important, you could give it 5, and that means like 3/5 are actually failing instead of the 50%. Okay, so let's look at the first one. We expected that it was going to say, I want to order a coffee, but it said, I want to order a coffee. That's what it actually heard. So we can actually click on map, and we can go to intent, and we can say that this is actually should be mapped to order intent. And this should actually, we know that this is our food name, so we can actually change this to food name. And let's add that utterance. Let's do the same for latte, except that for this one, maybe we should add this as a slot to say that give me a cup of latte is a synonym for, actually, no, we should probably add this as a value. So let's add the word latte as a slot value. And let's do the same for, let's add mocha as well. And let's build the model again. And let's go back here and model. And let's build the model. So while it does that, let's go back to our food name slot, or rather here. And as you can see, it's added those 2 slots here. And it's added, it did not turn this into, we should probably change this to food name. Okay. And we'll wait for it to complete and then rebuild the model again. All right, let's save the model and build the model again. And then the exercise that you would run into while you're doing this is that you would run the evaluation tests, you would find some failures, you would go back and map those to specific intents and specific slots, and then hopefully that will help you improve the ASR for your skill. So let's wait for it to build that. Okay, and now I am going to go back into evaluate model and let's run an evaluation again. Hopefully that should have helped us get closer to our. Okay, so instead of 50%, we are now at 67%. So as you can see, we ran through some of these tests. We uploaded the recordings, and then we ran the test. We found out what it was expecting versus what we wanted it to be, and we fixed those. So you can do the same process for mocha and milk. You could do the same for latte and lactate. You could even do things like if for latte and lactate, maybe you want it to be a synonym. The chances of somebody saying the word "give me a cup of lactate" is pretty remote. So you may want to use that as a synonym for the word latte. So if anytime somebody says lactate, you want it to be a synonym for latte. And if you do a build model and run the evaluation again, that should help that resolve that problem also. So that's what ASR evaluation tool lets you do. You can run the unit tests, and all of this you're actually doing without writing a single line of code. So you don't have to write any part of code. You don't even have to connect it to a Lambda or even Alexa hosted backend. This is all happening on the ASR recognition side, so you don't need to do any of that code work. Okay, so let's move to the next feature that we are announcing, and that is the Person Profile API. Now, you can already use the Customer Profile API to personalize your skill. You can already request customers for their name, for their email, for their phone number using the Customer Profile API. And the way that works is that the customer gets your skill, sends off a card to the Alexa app. The Alexa app is opened by the customer, and they approve that they would want your skill to get access to their information, and that's how your skill will actually get the information. Now we are taking this one step further in the sense that you can now specify, you can enable voice profile for your skill, so your skills can actually recognize that a customer has recorded their voice. The customer has done the voice training, and you can use that voice to recognize the customers, and you can use that to further personalize the your skills. So for example, you could do things like if you have two people in the household playing the game, you can identify that this was John and the other one was Mark, and by using the voice profile. So you are never passed on the personally identifiable information. What you really get is a person ID, which is this nondescript, really hexadecimal key or alphanumeric key that you actually get, and you use that to identify and personalize your skill. Now, what we are doing with the Person Profile API now is that you can, instead of getting just the person ID in your request, you also get an access code, an access token. You can use that access token to then call the Person Profile API, and you can get the name and the phone number for that specific person that is assigned to that voice profile. Now, I should mention that this is still in preview. So if you're interested in getting access to it, you should go to alexa.design/personalization preview and fill up this little form here to get access to this specific API. But I do have a quick little demo to show you of how you can actually use the personalization permissions and the voice profile API to get the name and the phone number of the users. So to do that, I am going to jump into this other skill that I have. And to show you, let's actually go into the build tab, and I'll come back to the permissions. So the first thing you want to do if you want to use the person profile API is that you want to go into the permissions, and you want to make sure that customer name is enabled and customer phone number or whatever you are actually looking to get information for. And then finally, you want to make sure that skill personalization slider is also turned on. So once you do that, your skill is enabled. And now we need to write the code that will actually be able to handle that. So I have the code over here. But before we get into that, let's actually give it a test. So let's click on the test tab. And I'm going to say open person profile demo.
Welcome to the sample list.
So you can hear it because it's going into my headphone, but you can read what the response was. Okay, so what do you want to ask? This time I'm actually going to use the microphone so she can actually attempt to recognize my voice. What is my full name? That's not right. Okay, let's try this again. What is my full name? I think it's having trouble with my microphone in the ASR. It's not even reading it right. Let me try it again. What is my full name? Nah. Let's try this. Okay. I swear this was working yesterday. Uh, but as most demos go, this is obviously going to fail when I really want it to work. Anyway, what it should have done is it should have come back and said, this is Amit speaking. And let me show you the code of how that is actually happening behind the scenes. So it should have mapped it up to the profile full name intent. And then it would have found the person ID. This is actually being provided in the request that you have. It would have also given you the consent token. You would use that access token, which is part of the request that's being sent to you. You identify the person, and then if it is, then you say you've. If it wasn't, then you say actually say profile not recognized. But if it was, then you make the API call here, right here, to get the name of the customer. But clearly that hasn't worked here. It could also be that since my account needed to be allowed for this kind of, since it's a preview, my account had to be allowed. I wonder if that has been, is something wrong with that part. But anyway, the idea is that you may want to build skills that are further personalized by using the voice profile, by using the recognizing the exact voice. You have 4 people playing the game. You have 2 people in the household. You want to make sure that it's personalized by addressing them with their first name. Hey, welcome back, Amit, or welcome back, John. And you can do those kinds of personalizations without actually asking the customer to spell out their first name or to spell out their phone numbers. So that is the person profile API. And the next one, sorry, I'm going to look at the comments in just a bit. I want to make sure that I'm getting to all of them. It looks like Amazon Alexa, Justin, and the Trinity are on top of it. So thank you guys. But I'll look at the comments in just a bit. The next one is, this is something I'm really, really excited about, is that oftentimes you want to start a skill really, really quick. You have a certain kind of skill that you want to start off with. You have a starter template, but there was no way for you to actually start off with a template or import a template. So what I mean by that is, when I am actually building a skill, I like session attributes to be already there. I want certain functions to be already there. I'm just used to certain helper functions always being available. So I've created this template for myself that is hosted on GitHub. And then I use the CLI, the ASK CLI, to actually start off with that as a template. But I always wanted a way for that template for a graphical user interface way of actually importing that. So that is now available, and I'm going to show you that now. So to do that, let me go into, let's see, let me find a new skill. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm on my Alexa console. I am going to create a new skill. And let's name it Git Import Test 2. I am going to choose a custom model. and let's say it's going to be Alexa hosted Python, and I'm going to click on create skill. And then this is the screen that you may be familiar with. You are presented a bunch of templates that you can actually choose from. But the new one is this import skill button right here. So I'm going to click on import skill up top. And then it gives you an opportunity to provide the Git URL for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to github.com/Alexa, and I'm going to pick up a template from here. So if you're not familiar with this, we have a bunch of templates we can actually start off. I'm going to use, let's just, oh, I chose Python. So let's choose a Python template. So let's search for Python here. And let's just go with the fact skill for simplicity. I'm going to capture that and then go back to this. And I'm going to click on import. So what it's doing now is it's going to go and import that Git template for me, and I can use that as a starting point. This is really great if you're actually just wanting to test something really tiny, something really quick, but you want to do a fresh skill. You can start off with the template and build that skill really, really quick. So while it does that, I think, let me see. I actually wanted to call this out also. I have a template called that I use a lot, and I have that over here on my repo, and that is the template. That is this starter template that I use. And I was actually, while I was looking at this and I was playing around with it, I figured out that this specific one was not working. I could not use this one. And the reason for that, I was told by the team is, and I haven't given this a try, is that the Python function needs to be named lambda function.py instead of hello world.py. So that is something that you may want to keep in mind if you have a template that has a different name in the for your lambda function. You may want to make sure that that is named lambda function instead of anything else. Okay, so with that, let's see if this has been imported. As you can see, the skill was imported. It has a get new fact intent, and I can now override this with whatever other changes I want. But if I wanted the basic functionality, if I have a starter template, I can actually use this new tool to do that. Okay. Next one that we are going to talk about is the multi-capability skills. And this one is super important. If you are a smart home developer, you have felt the pain before this functionality was actually introduced. So what multi-capability skills does is that if you're a smart home developer, say you are a vacuum, you have a vacuum cleaner. You are Dyson, you make a vacuum cleaner, or you're Philips, you make a light bulb, but you also have some custom functionalities that you want to provide to your customers. So for example, if you have a router, your basic functionality that will be covered by the Smart Home Skill API is to turn the thing on or off, maybe turn the lights on or off, things like that. But what if you wanted to give your customers some custom functionality like what is my internet speed in the case of a router, or how do I troubleshoot this vacuum cleaner if you're a Dyson, for example. Now, the way you would do that up until now is that you would have two different skills, two separate skills. One would be handling the smart home capability, which is turn on, turn off. Maybe you have some ranges, turn the fan to level 5, things like that, that basic smart home functionalities. But for anything that's custom, like asking for the speed of the internet or asking you how do I do XYZ thing, you would create a separate skill. Now, from a developer point of view, that means that you're maintaining two separate skills. With multi-capability skills, that is not needed anymore. You can create one single skill that will have both the interaction models. So from a developer point of view, it is great because you are maintaining one single skill. From a customer point of view, it is also great because they don't have to search for multiple skills. There is only one skill that I have to enable, and that will have the functionality for the entire gamut of things that the router probably wants to have. It also removes the friction of customers remembering different skill names, right? So, and it is super easy. If you already have a skill, you have a custom skill, you can just go into the custom skill, and all you have to do is one slider and the model is available. Of course, you will go back and add the functionality behind the scenes for those things, but from a front end, from an NLU, from an ASR point of view, all of that is just available to you. So to give you a quick demo of that, I will go to, let's just go with this skill. So you have this fact skill, and now I'm going to go into models. And as you can see, there's a slider button available that gives you the ability to make this a multi-capability skill. So just with one slider, I'm going to click on save and then save again. Just making sure that this is still working. Okay, great. So I'm going to click on save. And what that does is, as you can see, you have a custom model, but you also have a smart home model. So let's go back to the custom model. And for the custom model, this is your basic JSON editor. These are all the intents that you had. But if you go into smart home, you will see all the things that you normally expect to see with a smart home skill. So you can specify the account linking, you can specify the specific endpoint, and this endpoint will handle the functionality for your smart home skill. So all of the basic smart home API is available to you with the addition that it's all built into one. There's no need to have two separate skills for that. So like I said, it's great from a developer point of view, obviously, but it's also a great experience for the customers because they only have to remember one single invocation name, and they get the functionality for both of those things. That's right, Kevin Evans. It is a win-win for both dev and the user. Let me go back and read if there is any questions here. Urban Blaster says, I signed up for Alexa Live event next month. So exciting. That is awesome, Urban Blaster. We look forward to seeing you. And Trade Last, Alexa Live pits all of our favorite evangelists against each other on the schedule. Yeah, but you know what? On the bright side, they will be available. They are recorded, so they will be available. So if you are missing one, you can always go back and watch the other one. But yes, you can always you will have to choose which one you want to watch live. So we will know your affinity towards one evangelist or the other. Okay. All right. We have one more, and then I can go back further and read all the questions and try to answer any questions that you may have. All right. So the last one that we have is the new skill activation metrics. Now, if you are familiar with the analytics tab, you know that we have been gradually building more and more analytics so that you can actually look at those numbers and you can improve your skills based on the metrics that you're actually seeing. One of the new tabs that we've actually added is the skill activation tab. Now, even though it says skill activation, it's mostly catered towards skills that have some kind of account linking or OAuth mechanisms built into it. So you can actually see the success and error rate of your token access or refresh request. So you can see if the customers are going through that process of connecting their account successfully, and if not, then where are they actually falling through? And you can improve on those things and make that process even more seamless. So skill activation is a new tab that has been added to the analytics tab. And with that, those are the 5 new things we have added, we've launched in the month of May. And while I look at the chat, if you have any further questions, please type it away. All right, let me go back up. Lost audio, no audio, no audio, no audio. Thank you. Hopefully that'll never happen again. But of course it will. Okay. Urban Blaster, yes. Like I said, all the sessions will be made available after it's done. Huh. Cryptic Mo. Would be great to auto-populate the transcription in the Utterance Profiler with the file name of the audio file. That is really good feedback. So you would name it. I see what you mean. So you would actually have the file name, and then if as long as it picks up the file name, you don't have to type it again. That's actually good feedback. Um, so just to be clear, let me go back to the evaluate model, or rather here. Go back and annotation set. Yeah, it would be nice, but then you would have to make sure that you're actually typing all of this as your file name, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it could be a good option to have. If you have a file name, it just picks it up the transcription automatically. All right. Next is Fofu. I hope I'm saying that name right. Fofu says, does this evaluate as launch intents competing with regular Alexa based context? Alexa asks skill name to get me a cup of mocha, or evaluates only inside the skill scope. Let me read that again. Does this evaluate as launch intents competing with regular Alexa based context? Alexa asks skill name to get me a cup of mocha. I believe it is within the context of the skill. Yes. So you would say the skill name, and then you would say, "Get me a cup of mocha." That is correct. That is so. All of this is very specific to the skill, and this is not general. This is not overall ASR annotation sets that you're actually creating. That is correct. All right. With that, if you have more questions, otherwise, I can give you 20 minutes back, but I'll wait a fefew more minutes to see if people have any more questions. But we would love to see what you build. So let us know what you think of these. If you've, I'm going to copy all of these into the chat window, just so everyone has these links. All right. Okay, so just to recap, 5 new things. We have a new way that you can actually evaluate your automatic speech recognition. You can create annotation sets you can record those from your computer, or you can also upload a bunch of zip files. There are some considerations. For example, it needs to be MP3, WAV, or certain other formats. But you can read about all of that by going to alexa.design/ASR evaluation. The second thing that we've launched is the person profile API. This allows your skill to get access to customize your skills and get the customer's first name, full name, or given name, or mobile number based on their profile, their voice profile. This is still in preview, so if you would like to sign up, you would go to alexa.design/personalization preview, which is the link I just typed over there. The third one is you can now start a new skill by importing any publicly available Git repo. And then if you're a smart home skill developer, you now can combine your custom skill and smart home skill into one entity with one single invocation name, which is great for the developer, but it's also great for the customer because they don't have to worry about remembering different skill names. And then the last one we have is that we have a new tab for the activation metrics, specifically targeted towards the OAuth and account linking skills. All right, one last call for any questions you may have. If not, my name is Amit Jotwani. I am an evangelist on the Alexa skills team, and it's been an honor presenting these five new things to you. And I apologize for all the audio trouble and all the streaming troubles that we went through earlier on in the stream. Hopefully, I will have a better setup the next time I see you all. And if no further questions, thank you all. And we all look forward to seeing you at Alexa Live. And again, the last call out, Alexa Live registrations are open. It's going to be a virtual event with a bunch of really, really cool speakers and really good content. So if you are interested in learning more about what's the latest and greatest from all our evangelists, but also from our leadership team, please make sure that you actually sign up for Alexa Live. And I'll leave that link one more time in chat here. So with that, I will say goodbye to all of you, and I will see you all soon. Cheers. Bye.